Did you know there was a black lesbian and gay centre just down there?
No,
under
I
the
didn't
arches?
actually. No,
Yeah.
that's news.
What would you think about a centre being right there?
Doesn't bother me actually. I never knew it was there, so it doesn't bother me. We all gotta have a centre somewhere.
Almost 30 years ago, a group of black lesbians and gay men came together with one aim: to open a centre for black lesbians and gay men in London. Britain in the 1970s was a hotbed of political unrest. Race relations were tense, with black youth victimised by the police, and the National Front, a far-right racist organisation active in Tottenham and Handsworth, amongst other places. On the streets, feminists marched for equal rights, and the Campaign for Homosexual Equality organised the first Pride marches. Following the Grunwick factory strike, led predominantly by Jaiben Desai, which became a cause célèbre for the trade union movement, workers nationwide called an all-out strike, culminating in the winter of discontent. In Britain, everyone was tense, under attack, and swimming in refuse. As Larry Grayson urged viewers to shut that door, and Margaret Thatcher's 1979 election saw the UK's first female Prime Minister, the rights of black lesbians and gay men remained low on the political agenda.
In the late 70s, we already had a women's group at school. There wasn't really a black presence in the feminist movement to speak of, or the wider lesbian and gay movement. So it was about trying to find a place to be.
Many feminist organisations found it difficult to address issues of sexual orientation and race. That black women's experiences are different from those of white women, and that because the experience of the white woman is considered normative, the black women's experiences are marginalised. Similarly, the experiences of the lesbian, and in particular the black lesbian, are considered aberrational.
I was involved, I got politicised through Wavell, and in particular the Yorkshire Ripper, back in the late 70s. And I was involved in Wavell, which was Women Against Violence Against Women. It was mainly other white women involved in that.
Lesbian feminist Linda Bellows, one of the few out black lesbians at that time, argued that an inclusive approach to women's issues must take account of social class, minority and majority ethnic identity, disability, sexual identity, and religion. Black lesbians began to agitate for rights specific to their needs.
That lesbian group grew out of an OWAD conference.
We're not feminists. We reject that label because we feel that it represents a white ideology. In our culture, the term is associated with an ideology and practice which is anti-men. Our group is not anti-men at all. We're working together by different routes. We want to show people sisterhood in operation, something that's a forward movement, not a divisive one. We take our responsibility to the community very seriously.
We started, first of all, with just a workshop, but the response of the conference, that Black Women's Conference, to the presence of black lesbians in their midst, and the idea that we might want to organise separately made us feel that we really did have to organise separately quite quickly. And initially looking for a home, we wanted the Black Women's Centre in Brixton. We weren't desperately welcome there either. We ended up at a woman's place, where we found we had an awful lot of response to our first call out for our meetings, most of which were from other white organisations wanting to consult with black lesbians.
Born in London, Battersea girl. I was at Southbank Polytechnic, and I was doing social sciences degree. I'd been a member of Brixton Black Women's Group. I was living on Nursery Road. I can't remember where I saw the ad, probably in some feminist or lesbian newspaper thing or whatever, you know. Because I remember prior to joining Brixton Black Women's Group in, which must have been like 1982 or 83, I had been looking for the black lesbian group because I was volunteering at a woman's place, I think we used to meet on a Saturday to collate what was then the London Women's Liberation newsletter. We used to run it off on the Gestetner, and collate all the pages and fold them up and stick the stamps on, and this email thing, stick the stamps on and stuff. And it used to take all Saturday to do that. And we had this big mailing list, and one of the things that was listed in the London Women's Liberation newsletter was all the women's groups, and this black lesbian group, which I could never find.
The Black Lesbian Support Network produced a 65-page document containing positive images of black lesbians, book lists, campaign news, and information which was sent to black lesbians all over the world.
Another group that I think that I need to mention is that about maybe 1984 or 1983, I got involved in a black feminist conference, and from that we started to do the We Are Here newsletter. And a lot of the women that were involved in that were lesbians, but it was basically a black feminist initiative to look at issues to do with, that had a different slant on it. On some issues they were completely different. So if you looked at something like abortion, where white women might be denied an abortion, that would never happen to black women because they were really happy to give you an abortion. So things were very different.
Because, like Dennis and like a lot of us, I went looking for myself. I went looking for myself.
What there was for the black lesbian and gay scene was, for the most part, separated by gender and underground.
Because it was all like a sort of secret society thing, and you had to find the person who knew where the party was, who knew the person who was having the party, who was doing the, and all this sort of thing. And I was more, at that time, a large part of my social life was hanging out with the guys and going to all these black gay men's parties in Kennington and different places and stuff.
One of the things I vividly remember when I first moved to London is that, you went to a black gay party and you would have to knock on the door with a secret code in order to gain access to the party. I never forget that. And what for me, and I guess the message that sent out about the kind of cloak and dagger nature of it, the hiddenness of our community.
Of the handful of commercial spaces catering for the gay community, many were strictly men only, and few welcomed lesbians or black lesbians and gay men.
But the club scene thing, obviously there were always fewer commercial women's spaces than men's, because we didn't have what they now term the pink pound. We didn't have a lot of that. But also, what was significant, you were all right in those spaces if your date or your partner or whoever it was a white person. If you were two black women going into that space, to me that didn't work. I didn't have a lot of women to hang out with, black women to hang out with, and that was part of my search, and I'd go to these lesbian dances and walk in the room in the vain hope I'd find another black woman. And then in those days as well, I wore African clothes, so there's me, I'd turn up at some gay club, Stallions or something, or what have you, in my ting there, and they'd be like, excuse me, sort of thing,
The Black Gay Group started in 1981 as a response to the escalation of racism and homophobia. Its aim was to create a supportive environment where black gays and lesbians can meet and share their experiences without fear. As Live Aid vowed to feed the world, the Black Gay Group secured funding to find a suitable space for a black lesbian and gay centre.
Omar and I decided to apply to the Black Lesbian and Gay Centre project job together as a pair because it was for the job share. And I'd never met Savvy before. I didn't meet you until we started working together, wasn't it?
That's right,
That was
yeah.
the first time I'd met you, yeah.
We started work in Tottenham in 1985 in an annex of Tottenham Town Hall.
The porter bins.
Yes, it was like a porter cabin.
Yeah.
I still have the job descriptions that we started work with as outreach and development workers and also coordination and admin, and constitution from early in our days at BLGC. A leaflet saying something about who we were and what we did, though that wasn't produced at the very beginning, and even a t-shirt.
God, I remember. Because it was like, we did the t-shirt, and we wanted it to be not just like a women's symbol, did we? Yeah, we had this whole debate about the design and how we didn't want it to be a women's symbol, so that was like, so the arrowy bit at the top was kind of like the male bit, and the bit across there was like the female bit, you know. And then there was all the debate about whether we were going to spell the words out, you know, but then who would wear it, you know, sort of thing, you know.
My Jeep, I had in big silver letters on the back, BGM #1.
That was your number plate, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, if I really think about it, I got the confidence to be able to do that by challenging myself to wear that t-shirt. For the same reasons that you just talked about. And so because I got beyond wearing the t-shirt and that wasn't a big deal, I was able to put that sticker on the back of my Jeep.
But in 1986, even the most politically aware lesbian and gay activist was caught off guard.
Before we knew it, there was a very vociferous campaign against the work of the unit. Questions were being asked at Prime Minister's Question Time. We were all over the national press.
Walking round, walk everywhere, through Regent's Park, down through Trafalgar Square.